Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to another episode of Becca Brilliance. I'm your host, Becca, and this week my guest is Ashley Sharp. Ashley is the executive director at Dwell with Dignity, a nonprofit here in Dallas that focuses on creating soothing, inspiring homes for families struggling with homelessness and poverty. They partner with local social service agencies that have programs in place to take families from homelessness and poverty to self-sufficiency. She has a long list of accomplishments, including being named an honoree of Dallas Business Journal's 40 Under 40, a finalist for CEO's Nonprofit and Corporate Citizenship Awards for Leadership Excellence for 2022. She also currently serves on the Mayor's Star Council as the Engaged Dallas Chair, is a graduate of the inaugural class of UT Austin Lyndon B. Johnson's Women Campaign School, is a professor at the University of Houston. She's also a TEDx organizer and works with Annie's List, Blue Sky Talk, Movement Makers Collective, and the Young Entrepreneur Council. She holds 3 degrees from the University of Texas at Dallas. She's written for Forbes, and the list goes on and on. She's truly lovely, and she does such great work for the community here in Dallas. So I'm excited for you to learn more about her organization, and I find her endlessly inspiring. So without further ado, let's get into it. Thank you so much for being here.
Good morning. It's so great to see you.
Great to see you too. I was telling you this before we started recording, but I could literally have the entire podcast just be a list of all your accomplishments. You've literally done so much in your life. So I am so happy that you're here because I think you are so incredible. And even when I met you, but even now more so after learning about everything that you've done. So I really appreciate your time. You are the executive director of Dwell with Dignity, which is the only nonprofit that provides interior design services for the homeless here in Dallas. I've heard you say that many people feel like it's a nice to have, not a need to have. So I'm really excited to hear more about that organization. But first, can you tell me a bit about how you got into the nonprofit space? Because I know that wasn't your initial desire growing up in life.
I would love to. So I've lived a couple of different lives, all crammed into a few short years, but I think that's what makes life fun and interesting. So my first passion was dance. I wanted to be a Radio City Rockette. I actually trained with the Rockettes. So, the high kicks and high heels and all that, the red lipstick.
Can you still do
I can still do jump splits. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
It's going to hurt a little bit the next day. My hamstrings are not what they used to be, y'all. But no, dance was absolutely my passion. I started dancing when I was 3 years old, doing ballet, competed my entire high school career, got into musical theater and absolutely fell in love with it. So my undergrad degree is in dance and theater. And so that really was my track. That's what I wanted to do, is I wanted to be a performer. And my parents were like, you can't make a career doing that. And I was like, what do you mean? And then I went to New York for a little bit. And there's 4 or 5 girls living in a room. And I was like, oh, I understand now what you're trying to say. That's great. But I had at the same time started working internships at theaters and working box office and teaching and choreographing. And I was like, well, I think there might honestly be a way to make this a career. It may not be paid on stage, but behind the stage. And that way I could still be involved in what I really love. And so I worked for Dallas Summer Musicals. I worked for theater companies locally, and then ended up with an internship actually at the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. So that really was taking me to the next level of exposure to the arts. And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I worked there for a couple of years. I have a large dog in the background.
Hi, dog.
Hi, dog. Yeah, so I worked for the Dallas Symphony Orchestra, then moved to the National Sculpture Center. And so spent my entire early career in the arts and absolutely loved it. But at some point I realized that I was living a life that wasn't sustainable. I was trying to keep up with the Joneses, but the Joneses were people who were spending $5 million on a piece of art, and I was making $40,000 a year. And it was just really difficult because when those are the people that you are surrounded with, those are the people you compare yourself to. And I had no right as a 24-year-old trying to compare myself to the richest people in Dallas, in Texas, in the United States. Right. And so it was really difficult on me because I didn't realize that it was so damaging to my own psyche, right? To compare myself constantly when there was no basis for comparison. And so I decided to take a little break from the arts and ended up in social services, which is completely different. So now, people they're paying $5 million for a piece of art and going to fancy dinners and traveling all over the world. And now I'm working with people who are sleeping in their cars. It literally was a night and day difference. And that's when I realized that there was so much work to be done in Dallas, that the arts is incredibly important. And I love the arts. But if we're going to be talking about like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like that's in the self actualization. And we still have issues in Dallas that are literally food and shelter. So we really needed to back it up.
Hmm. Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, I've lived in Dallas for a year now, but I honestly didn't realize that the poverty and the homelessness rates were so high in Dallas.
It's incredible that no one really talks about poverty in Dallas.
Hmm.
Actually, yesterday, my team and I went over to a place called The Bridge, and it's a homeless center, and we served lunch and just spent the day, getting out of our own way in a sense, just to realize that even though we work in child poverty, there's so many other levels of poverty. Dwell with Dignity really is focused on family and child poverty. That's our area, helping single mothers, especially, get out of poverty and homelessness through interior design, and then working in school districts and community centers to help lift up those children so that way they have a future that they couldn't see before. But there's so many levels. And I think what's really great about Dallas is that there's a cause for everyone. If there's a place that you feel passionate about, go get plugged in, because there's so many opportunities. There's so many nonprofits, and everyone is just so incredibly welcoming. And so, that's kind of my like call to action is if there's something that you're interested in, and look it up. I promise Dallas has a way that they're trying to solve it, and they want you to be part of it.
That's awesome. So I know that you do focus on families and, obviously with children and everything, but how do you decide which families get to benefit from your services? Because I'm sure there's no shortage of people that are reaching out to you.
There are so many people who need the services that Dwell with Dignity offers. I think what's really great, though, is that we partner with nonprofits in Dallas. So we have roughly 50 to 60 nonprofit partners because we believe in collaboration and not competition. We don't want to duplicate any services. And so the families that come to us are actually recommended by the nonprofits. And so
Okay.
it's really great because they've been through the program, they've graduated, they've achieved success. And then this is really the cherry on top for them because we're giving them the foundation to keep them on the road to success and thriving and living the way that they want to. That is so great because they know that they now have an entire community behind them. It wasn't just that one organization. Now they have us behind them. Now they have other, referral partners who want to come in and offer their services. So it's really this beautiful community building that comes out of this. And so we work with these nonprofits who say, hey, this family did a great job. And then we come in and we're the next step for them to really achieve success.
That's incredible. I also know this every time I heard you say this or I read this, I was like, that's so incredible that you guys have a 0% recidivism rate.
We
That's
do.
amazing.
100% of the families we have served stay living independent. And honestly, like that just speaks to the testament of believing in people and listening to them and giving them agency, right? Like it's because they felt heard and seen for the first time, maybe ever. And
Yeah.
it's amazing what that confidence can do, that sense of security. And then we stay with our families. The pandemic was hard on all of us. People went back into terrible situations where they faced not having a job or the food shortages or the toilet paper crisis, right? Like there was so much going on. Like that was our life. Like
What a weird time to live in.
what was it, like Tiger King and toilet paper? Like it was a very, I don't even know what was going on. Yes, it was a
Truly.
very strange time that we lived in, but we stayed in contact with our families. And, we even had a family who came to us the other week and was like, hey, Ash, I got a new job, but I need some resources to help my kids get through the next week until my new job starts. And we're right there alongside them, right? And so by not just saying, here's your gift, goodbye, we
Yeah.
actually, stay with them. We give them that opportunity to be part of something. And what we love is that so many of our families are now entrepreneurs, they're business owners, their kids are going to college and thriving. And we get to be like a very small part of that journey, but it's a really beautiful part.
I would not call that a small part of someone's journey. I think that's a huge part. I've heard you say that the services that you offer are a nice to have, not a need to have. But honestly, when I've looked at your Instagram and seen the videos and like the before and after pictures of what someone's apartment would look like versus what you have transformed the space into, I mean, there's no denying that someone, trying to get on their feet, like in this beautiful apartment, they're just going to have that good energy and feel more inspired, and it's just going to feel so much better for them. So what do you say to people that say that it is not a need to have?
So my big thing is I try to get people to actually come, right? And that's it's been part of our journey is realizing that we are a very visual organization, which is great. But until you are in the room, you don't understand the impact that you're having. And we always say that we go deep, we don't go wide. So we're not going to be like the North Texas Food Bank. And that's okay. We're not going to, spend $1 to change someone's meal for the day, but we will change one family's life permanently, and their child's life, and their child's life. And so there's this amazing ripple effect. But design is not privilege. Design is not something that just belongs to the elite. And that's something that we're really trying to dismantle, because so many people think of design as something that's like lofty. And design affects your mental health. Again, going back to the pandemic, when we were all stuck in our homes for 2 years, our mental health was severely changed, right? The way that we interact with our surroundings, the way that we interact with the world. And so now we're in a stage where we realize that that's so important to have a space that supports you. And having something beautiful doesn't detract from the functionality of it, right? Function is first for us. Every child gets a bed. Everyone gets a desk. They have somewhere safe to sleep. They have somewhere that they can actually eat breakfast before they go to school. And when you see the before and after pictures, I mean, these are babies sleeping on pool mattresses.
Right. Yeah.
It is dire. And so there is nothing that is nice to have about a mattress or a desk. But we believe that function can also be beautiful, and that sense of beauty and aesthetics, which obviously, you and I both buy into.
Libra gang.
Hello,
Yeah.
Libra sister. That is what makes the difference, is that we customize each piece for the family. We don't just go to Target and buy 20 of the same thing. We sit down with them. We ask them what they like, what colors, how they use their house. And every single home is one of a kind. And that makes the difference. That is the piece that is like the secret sauce, because anyone can just, again, walk into a superstore and duplicate homes and just churn them out. But that's not our goal. Our goal is to make people feel loved. And that takes a different set of skills.
Wow, I know that you make people feel loved. I can't imagine. I'm kind of like putting myself in these people's shoes as you're describing this process, and I think that would be so amazing to, I feel like sometimes I'm assuming people that are homeless probably feel voiceless and unseen. So the fact that you sit down and you're like, "What's your favorite color? What do you like?" I mean, that's just gotta make them feel so special and so big in that moment, right? Dwell with Dignity, I know you have a building in the design district. Can you explain what Thrift Studio is and how you actually get your funding? Because I think that is such an incredible aspect of your guys' business model.
So what I love about Dwell with Dignity is that we are not a traditional nonprofit. We operate as what I like to refer to as a social enterprise. So most of the money that comes in isn't traditional, as in the sense of like we're asking a single donor to come in and give me $5,000, $10,000. Like, yes, we do love that. Don't get me wrong. I love those dollars, but we have this really interesting model. So we have relationships with designers, design stores, just people who are so gifted and talented and make these beautiful pieces, but they can't always sell them. Maybe they order them for a client and they're dented, or there's a ding in it, or it came in the wrong color. And so then they end up with these pieces that they can't do anything with, right? They can't sell them on their floor. They don't want to get rid of them in the trash because that's incredibly wasteful and that has no sustainable properties. And so they give them to us. And what we do is we take all of these items and we put them together in a large pop-up store, and we sell them all to the public at discounts. So it's just been this incredible opportunity to make a difference in the community, right? We're getting rid of waste. We're taking care of our friends and our family by being able to sell these beautiful things that benefit all of our clients. And it's a way that we've been able to be sustainable ourselves, because we know that this model works. Just last year, we made about $650,000 selling merchandise at a 4-week pop-up store. It's so amazing. And it's my favorite because everyone gets involved. Designers get involved. Showrooms get involved. Like, it's a great way too, because a lot of people in that community didn't have a cause to rally behind. Mm-hmm. And this is a very unique for them, because everyone wants to be able to give back. And, we always say you can give your time, your talent, or your treasure. Well, if you want to be able to give your time and talent, maybe you don't want to be, I don't know, say stuffing a bag with something and handing it to someone. The other day I served lunch, which is great. I love that. But what if you want to be able to use what you were uniquely given? And maybe that's interior design. This is a way to be able to do that. You can design a room. You can come in and help us make beautiful spaces that inspire people. And when you shop for you, you're also shopping for our friends in the community. And so it's this beautiful kind of like 1-to-1 ratio where, every single dollar goes directly back to serving a family that is not going to have that without you. So I absolutely love Thrift Studio. It's opening in August. We're starting all of our parties right now. We do kickoff parties and art parties. And
Oh.
literally, we like rally the community behind this cause because it's so much fun. And we're not a sad puppy nonprofit. Like, we're not puppies in cages with people singing about angels and stuff like that. Like, it's not us. But you can do good, but have fun at the same time. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, that's why I'm laughing.
Ugh.
That's so exciting about the parties. I think that would also be probably kind of hard to be a nonprofit and try to get your name out there. I know that Dole with Dignity has been around for what, 13 years, 14 years?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it a challenge or is it exciting for you to try to think of new ways to get your name out there? Because I know that you worked with Amazon. You have, I know you got funding from was it like the Mavericks? Like, you're definitely good at putting yourself out there.
Yeah. So again, my big thing is invite people along. I always think of myself as a connector because I know that there's organizations out there and we have incredible partners, Amazon, the Mavericks, Fossil, Crayola. They want to do good in the community and employees demand it nowadays. I think that's
Yeah.
what's so interesting is that when you go to work for an organization, that's part of the interview process is what is the company culture? How do you give back? Is volunteerism encouraged? Like, how do we as individuals kind of show up authentically? And part of that is we want to be involved in the community.
Yeah.
And so people are actually really demanding that their organizations become involved with nonprofit organizations as well. And so we love that cause. But what we do is that we just invite people to come. And once you see it, you can't get away from it. So Fossil's an amazing example. We love Fossil. They have been such a great new partner of ours. And we're working on a project at UT Dallas. It's called the Life Transitions Closet. So it's for individuals who are going through any type of transition, but especially those going through gender transitions and simply do not have the resources to be able to do so. Clothing, hair, makeup, shoes, accessories. It's very expensive, especially as college students. And then they also have a large population of just international students who come here and they want to acclimate and find a new identity. They have professors who have used it before when their houses have burned down and they literally have nothing but the clothes on their back. So it's this beautiful closet that we want to come in and make functional and aesthetically pleasing. And I had spoken to someone at Fossil about it. They're in Richardson, UT Dallas is in Richardson. And I said, well, why don't you just come see it? Right? Like, just come see what it looks like. Fossil showed up with 2 giant boxes of bags to gift. They committed to coming and bringing volunteers to do the project. Now they send them merchandise every week to this closet for the students.
Wow.
Every week it's gone. I mean, the minute it gets there, it goes out the door. I mean, these are people who have never been able to have a Fossil bag before, right? Like, it's like this sense of like pride again. And it goes back to like the you that you want to be. And so we just absolutely love our partners because again, once you become part of it and once you see it and you see the impact and Fossil wants to be able to give back in a way that's meaningful for them. And hey, what a great way to be able to do it, supporting a college that's right there in their own backyard. And so I always think of myself again as a connector. I try to find people who are interested in the same things, find a cause that they would be interested in, and then just kind of get them introduced and let the magic happen.
That's incredible. I know that you have also kind of shifted to also doing community spaces. So how did you get involved in doing that? And I would assume that it's also tricky to narrow down who gets those services as well. So what are your requirements for that?
That's a fantastic question. So I think about every year they did about one community space for a partner before I joined because that was always really important to Dwell with Dignity. When I came on, though, it was so obvious that there was so much work that could be done on the front end. So let's say a family is dropped off at a homeless shelter in the middle of the night by the police after having a domestic violence dispute. If they do not feel safe in that space, they're going to go back to the situation that they were in because it's what they know. So the minute they get to either the shelter or the community center, we want them to feel enveloped and safe. And if they walk into a space that's beautiful and radiates peace and confidence, they're going to feel better about staying there with their families. There's a gorgeous space that we're starting to work on. It's called Nexus Recovery Center, and it's for women who are going through substance abuse, withdrawals, and learning to get their life back on track. And so they are incredible. They have a full center detox there. They actually let the children live with their parents and give them education and schooling while they're there going through this process. It's about 90 days. They're one of the only ones in the state that lets you bring your kids. And as a mother, like my kid is coming with me, right? Like no matter what. But the spaces are not beautiful. They don't instill confidence in the women. And, you know, they're a nonprofit. So all of their money is going to direct services. And we want to be able to come in and alleviate that sense of insecurity for the families and make it somewhere that they feel safe staying for 90 days with their kid while they get their life back on track. So community partners, we really do focus on families and youth age 22 and under. So that's kind of our criteria. Occasionally, Dwell with Dignity will do outside projects that are not specifically focused on youth. One of the ones that we did recently that we really love. Community projects are fantastic for Dwell with Dignity because we know that they make such a difference. And we do really try to be targeted. But we do also look for opportunities to go to places that aren't focused on families and youth because we know that there's other things. We did the 911 call center for the city of Dallas, which was absolutely incredible because these are people who are facing some of the worst traumas in Dallas and really do not get the thanks and recognition, right? Like we think about our first responders as police and firemen, but these are the people who get there first. They're on the phone with people at some of the worst moments of their life. And we wanted to go in and give them a gift. So we completely redid their space. Lazy Boy came in and gave them these beautiful sleeper couches. We gave them like little screens and white noise machines so that way they could have a space to rest. Some of these people are on shift for 20, 24 hours too. I mean, it's exhausting. And so we love to be able to go in and do things like that as well, where, you know, it may not be directly benefiting a family or children, but we know that it makes our community stronger and that benefits everyone.
So on the topic of mental health, May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So seeing as how you do a lot of things with people that, you know, have gone through a lot of trauma and seeing as how you yourself, you do so much, do you have any tips on how to keep your mental health in check?
I love talking about mental health.
Perfect.
I have gone through a lot of ups and downs in my own life. I've had depression. I've had eating disorders. I have OCD. So mental health is something that is so important to me. And I realized the other day, it was really interesting that I've been taking care of my body physically, right? Like I've been eating well. I've been working out, drinking my protein shakes. Like I've been really focused on my physical self, which is great. But I had not been focused on my mental self. And it was starting to crack. And you have to do both. It's so important. And really what we do at Dwell with Dignity is mental health, right? I mean, having a beautiful safe space, something that feels safe, that's all mental. You know, physically they had the roof, they had the walls, you know, but this is about mental confidence. And I think it's so important to take care of yourself because no one's going to take care of you, right?
So true.
Like no one's going to take care of your mental health for you.
True.
And so I've had to learn, and this is so hard for me, to say no to things that are going to pull me in too many directions. And that's so hard for me, as you know, because I love to say yes. And I love to be involved in everything. And so something I read the other day was, thank you so much. I currently do not have the capacity. And I was like,
Beautiful.
Oh my God, what a beautiful way to say no and to protect yourself. And my focus needs to be protected. And that's okay. I've actually put together this list of my values and my own core mission statement. And so anytime I've given an opportunity, I go back and I check it against what I say I want. And a no, it's not necessarily a no if it doesn't align. I need to, you know, figure out, okay, well, why does this appeal to me if it doesn't align with my values or my goals? But it's a great way to keep myself on track and realize also other people will step up. I don't have to do everything. It's okay to let other people rise to the occasion and have the opportunity. And so that's been really important for me. And just, again, the last few weeks, I was like, oh, I'm not doing a good job of taking care of my mental health. And, you know, you can always tell, like, your sleep starts to get affected, your energy levels. I'm drinking, you know, 3 triple venti iced vanilla lattes a day. Like, life is not okay. You've never seen me without a coffee. I mean... But yes, I think mental health is so important. And I read about mental health all the time. I love to read. I love books that help you be the best version of yourself. Speaking of books, I signed a book deal a couple
Of
weeks
course
ago.
you did.
And
Of course you
so
did.
talk
That,
about, hey, doing too much. And then I'm like, oh, hey, I signed a book deal.
that's
And so,
incredible.
thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very excited.
Can you tell us what the book is about, or is that top secret
Yes. No, it
information?
is not top secret. The
Okay.
book is about identity, which is one of my
Oh.
favorite topics. And so being able to create your own identity,
Hmm.
being confident with that, and then almost more importantly, being confident in getting rid of an identity that no longer serves you. Because a lot of times we are so tied to a version that we are no longer of ourselves, whether that's the way that we were in high school or the way that our family sees us. And it's okay to not be that person anymore. Maybe you move like you did. It's a big change. Your identity
Yeah.
changes. Now you're a Texan. Sorry, like you're one of us now.
Yeehaw, baby. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw. I'll get you some cowboy boots. It'll be great.
Yes.
But there's so many things in our lives that change. You become a mother, you become a
Yeah.
wife, you become a boss, but you have to be able to let go of things too. Like I'm no longer a dancer. I
Hmm.
was a dancer. And that's
Yeah.
okay. I'm not a performer anymore. But that was my life for so long that it was so difficult to get rid of it and
Hmm.
to find a new avenue and a new path. But it's okay. And it's okay to be a multi hyphenate. Like I have DJ equipment behind me, right? Like I'm not a good DJ, but I enjoy it. But it's okay to be like, you know what? I'm going to try this on and see if it works for me. And if it doesn't, that's okay. Like you don't have
Hmm.
to define yourself by what society thinks you should be. You just need to define yourself by what you believe in.
Absolutely. I think for most people, especially when they are evolving, it's an insecure kind of feeling. Like you said, like I knew myself as a dancer, and it's like you probably were really confident with that, and then once you transition to a different area of your life, like obviously your that confidence level isn't quite there yet. So I think a lot of people do tend to cling on to that, but it really stunts your growth, right? Like it's really hard for
Yes.
you, yeah, to continue that forward momentum when you're just constantly stuck to the past. So I think that's an incredible topic. Did someone approach you about the book deal, or was
They
that your idea?
did.
Really? That's so
So I've
cool.
actually, it was interesting. I've had it in my phone for probably a year plus,
Okay.
right? Like anytime I think of something, I just kind of add it to the notes section. But yes, I met this incredible publisher and we started talking and, it was just one of those things where it was the right person, the right time, the right moment. And just, it's funny. I didn't even realize I was so passionate about the topic. And I was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, like this is something that really does mean a lot to me. And it's interesting because I'm always trying to find where I fit in and where I belong,
Mhm.
right? Like it's like, oh, I'm a Libra. Even though, like, of course, like there's things about being a Libra that do not apply to me. I'm incredibly decisive, and apparently we're not supposed to be, whatever.
You're
But
decisive?
I'm so decisive.
Oh God, I wish. I wish. I am not at all.
But I think that people like having some culturally significant identifiers that we can like latch on to, right? Like
Yes.
Libra, you automatically know what that means.
Yep.
It lets you relate to other people.
Hmm.
Like it's so interesting. There's all these things, we take these personality tests because we want to be able to identify with others and to be able to understand people quickly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think identity is such an interesting thing because, when you look at someone, you're like, okay, well, she has long dark hair. What does that say about her?
I love that you're talking about this because I've kind of been going through this with myself, like having short hair.
Yes.
I think it's kind of perceived as being like maybe masculine,
Yes.
or like someone would look at me and be like, "Oh, she's a lesbian," and I'm like, "Okay, but like, why does it have to be like that? Like, it's not just like not
Yes.
it's not black and white, right? Like everyone is
No.
shades of gray, and it's yeah,
Yes. It is so interesting that people, yeah, that's how they tie identity is, I'm actually a tomboy, right? Like I love video games and action
yeah,
movies and Legos. But when they look at me, I look very feminine because I have long hair and curves. Okay, great.
yeah,
But it's not black and white, like you said. It's not easily defined. And also, why can't I be both? Why can't I be feminine and
uh,
masculine, right? Like, why
absolutely,
can't you have short hair and love makeup? Like, it
right, yeah.
doesn't
I think a
matter.
lot of people have a hard time with the concept of duality.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and this whole multi hyphenate thing that we're in right now, I'm so thankful for because I want to be able to define myself in different ways at different times. Like at
Right.
work, I want to be the boss, but when I'm with my kid, I just want to be his mom and I just want to relax and I don't want to have to be the boss. And so, when you're around your parents, as we do, we're like, it's a very interesting situation. Like, who are you around your parents as an adult?
For sure.
I'm not really sure still. I don't think I figured that one out.
You definitely slip back into those old patterns of like, I'm a
Yes.
kid, but then you're like, wait, no, I'm a 38-year-old woman. Like,
Yes. You know what? I actually yesterday I was thinking and I referred to myself and I was like, oh, well, they don't want a child to come in and tell them what to do. And I was like, I'm 33.
yeah,
I am not a child. I have a 6-year-old. But why do our brains still identify in that way?
that happens to me all the time. I constantly, and it's so weird too, because when you're a kid, you always like look at adults and think they have everything together. And then being an adult, it's like, no, I need the bigger person to tell me what to do.
Yes, I need an adult to come
Yes.
and tell me. But we are the adults now,
I
lady.
know, I know.
I know. But yeah, it's an identity thing. And I think it's weird because like we talked about this a little bit. I'm a Disney adult. I
I
love Disney
forgot. I
World.
forgot.
You forgot. I know. The look on
I
your
forgot.
face. I was born in Orlando. Like I am a Disney baby, but I think it's because I like being able to have that sense of nostalgia and that
Hmm.
playfulness and that
Yeah.
magic that comes from going somewhere like that, where I don't have to be in charge. Everyone else takes care of it and makes it beautiful, and that's fantastic. And I think that's so great that I can, go and have that moment of being, okay, this is like my safe space. But I could also be like, hey, let's go get on a plane and go to South Korea and go explore. Like, again, it's
Yeah.
all about having dualities in your life.
Well, and also even just I've never been to Disney, so I'm not rolling my eyes at you. Don't worry. I've only been to Universal, Harry Potter. I like cried on the ride, so I can totally relate about that little happy space. But I also think like some people feel like when they become adults, they like have to act a certain way, like they can't embrace or embody that childlike joy that's inside of them. But I feel like that just like really zaps you of all of your magic at a certain point too.
Absolutely. And having a kid has been the most fun for me because I get to introduce him to the things that I love. And so we get to go do silly things together and be playful. And I like being playful. I
Yeah.
enjoy it. I enjoy whimsy in my life. And
Hmm.
that's okay. I can be a serious adult who still loves Mickey. Both can happen.
Absolutely, they can. So, all of these wonderful things that you're talking about, and I know, like, with all of your accomplishments and everything, I would consider you to be a leader. So, have you had people that you've looked up to that have influenced you?
Oh my goodness, yes. I've had a lot of tough women in my life,
Hmm.
which has been really interesting. I've always felt like I've had to prove myself, and nothing's ever come easily for me. And I hated that at the time, and now I really respect it because I was pushed to be the best version of myself because they knew that it was in me. Whether it was my theater director or my drill team director, other people they just kind of like skate by, but they never let
Hmm.
me do it. And I was
Yeah.
always so angry about it. I was like, why are they constantly pushing on me?
Hmm.
And then I'm like, oh, because they know they can, because
Yeah.
I will rise to the occasion. And so I think having high expectations is a good thing, right? And you only set those high expectations if you know that someone can meet them.
Sure.
And I've just been really blessed. One of the women that I look up to more than anyone is the woman who founded Dwell with Dignity, Lisa Rosen. Just incredible human, beautiful heart, kind, loving, but also tenacious, right? You don't start a nonprofit from nothing without that sense of drive and tenacity. And so she's definitely one of my like superheroes. Mom does it all, like always there for me. So yeah, she's absolutely a role model of mine. And honestly, like the families that we serve,
Hmm.
I look up to them so much. And there's some clients that I've gotten really close with. And they are, again, I think that they're superhuman just to
Yeah.
be able to do everything that they can. And so I love that I have role models from different spaces and
Hmm.
in different states of their lives. I feel like you can learn from everyone, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if they're older or younger, or, I have mentors who are in the finance world. Like I have nothing to do with finance, but they show me a different part of the world. And I
Hmm.
love that. And so, yeah, I'm lucky to have a bunch of really cool women. Like, I really look up to you. Like, I think that
Oh,
you are
wow.
absolutely incredible and amazing.
Thank
And so,
you.
yeah, I like to find my role models from different places.
Oh my gosh. I'm so flattered. Thank you so much. Um, that's incredible. So I know that one of your favorite things about entrepreneurship is the art of pitching. So I think a lot of people are intimidated by public speaking and intimidated by the pitch. Do you think that I know that you when you were younger you were a pageant queen. Do you think that your history in pageants helped with that confidence and being able to deliver that message, or do you have any advice for people that are trying to tap into that confidence and love the pitch as much as you do?
Yes, this is again one of my favorite topics. So thank you. Yes, I did. I was a pageant queen. I was a Miss Dallas teen. Thank you so much.
Of
Back
course
in the
you are.
day. I mean, look at my hair. It's still pretty big, y'all. Like this is still. I mean, I did a lot of interview coaching, and I was the child who I couldn't even look a waiter in the eye to order. I was just incredibly shy, loved to read books, very introverted, and now I'm completely the opposite. I will talk to anyone, anywhere about anything. And it is a skill, right? I mean, it is an
Mhm.
actual skill that you have to develop. Pageant training, of course, absolutely helped me because I learned how to be succinct. I think that's really
Yes.
important. And, I do a lot of interviews. I always have to be camera ready because at any moment I could have a news crew come in and want to talk about Dwell with Dignity. It could be, coming and talking to a group of students on site. And so I'm always prepared. But the key is to tell stories. And I think that's why I love pitching is because it's an opportunity for me to tell stories. A lot of people want to get up there and spit out facts and
Yeah.
figures and statistics. And those are fantastic. You should absolutely have those to back up what you're talking about. But if you don't tell a human story and you don't connect with people, then they're not
Right.
going to remember you. And so that's my favorite thing is to get up there and realize that you're just having a conversation. And I think people get so intimidated. Everyone's staring at me. What if I mess up? Everyone wants you to win. Doggy.
Even your dog wants you to win.
Oh, he's so crazy, y'all. But yes, people want you to win. They're on your side. And that's what I've learned because I've been in the audience of many pitches. I've done many pitches. No one wants you to fail. And even if you mess up, I mean, do you remember when Adele started singing and she was like, nope, that was wrong. She stopped that song and she started over again.
Right.
Great. We're all humans. Why do we think that we have to be perfect? You can stutter, you can misstep, you can cough.
Hmm.
It's just about embracing the humanity of it and by telling them a story that they actually care about and making yourself vulnerable. That's something that I've had to really learn. A lot of people find me unapproachable, and I've
Really?
had to learn how to make myself, well, I'm sure people find you unapproachable too.
They do, but I think maybe it's because I know you and I know that you're so nice, and I'm like, really? You're unapproachable?
And so I think it's just, I'm having to make myself more vulnerable as a
Hmm.
human. But oh my gosh, I love pitching. I love talking. I have no, like, I love getting on stage. Like, I'm sad when I don't have a microphone.
Really?
And other people are so anxious and they have notes, and I'm just like, let me talk to people. Please put me on stage. I want
I know you.
to.
Usually, when I ask someone to do my podcast, I'm like, "Do you want me to send you the questions beforehand?" And I was like, "I'm not even gonna ask her. I know she'll be fine with anything that I throw at her."
No, I'm like Tinkerbell. I need applause to live. I'm like, I need that attention. And it's my theater days, right? Like it's
Yes, totally.
and I've found a way to be able to do what I love. And I practice. I practice all the time, right? Like I've taken speech classes, pitch
Yeah.
classes, presentation classes. I constantly want to get better. I'm currently in a class right now that's about the art of storytelling and pitching and elevator pitching because I want to be the
Mm.
best at it. So I think that's the other thing too is you have to continue to learn, right? You can't just say, "Oh, I'm good at this." Yes, great, but there's always somewhere to go.
But are you the best at it?
That's what I always say. Am I the best? No. Keep going.
I really admire your passion for learning because what you have like what 3 degrees from UT Dallas and
Do
like aren't you a professor in
I?
Houston?
Yeah,
Come on, girl. Come on.
I love
Insane.
school. I love education. I'm very achievement driven. I love gold stars, right? Like that's my thing. But I love learning, and I hope to learn my entire life, but there's so many ways that I can continue to grow and things that I didn't know about. I was in the inaugural class of the LBJ Women's Campaign School about women learning to run for office.
Amazing.
Because I was like, that might be something I'm interested in one day. And I realized that maybe I'm not. That's okay. But I loved learning about the process. So now I can support other women who are running for office, and I know what they need and I know what they're going through. So that was great. I got a degree in design thinking, which I had never really done before. And I kind of, it's a little woo woo for me to go through and look up design thinking later. It's very interesting.
I was going to say, I don't know what that is, but
yeah. So it's like, basically, it's about when you sit down with a group and you lead from a place of empathy and inclusion and asking questions. And so it's stuff that we naturally do, but it's taking it and formalizing it. And so you sit down with a group and say, like, okay, let's say we're going to have a podcast today. Well, let's throw out all of the different people who could be on the podcast. Let's put all the different topics that we could talk about. And as someone who's very decisive, design thinking is very difficult for me because, like, I already know what I want. I'm good. Let's move on. Like, and that is not the heart of design thinking. But I wanted to learn about it so that way I could at least be more mindful in my life and stop being so quick and bossy sometimes and be a little bit more patient.
I think that's amazing because I'm sure that also like translates with you making families feel comfortable and just having different levels of empathy and understanding of people's thought process. I really admire that.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to get better at the things that I know could be a hindrance to me. I mean, like, not all things. Like, I learned I almost said I learned how to ski this year. I tried to ski. Okay, I fell down a mountain. It is not me. But I put myself in situations where I hope to grow in some way. So now at least I have a better appreciation for people who can ski. I hate it. I'm never going up on a mountain again with things strapped to my feet. It's not going to happen. But I respect it. I appreciate the people who do.
I remember seeing your pictures on Instagram. You looked cute while you did it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, a praise ski is the best thing ever. Like, I can drink a margarita. I like sat up at 10,000 feet elevation with a hot chocolate, and I was like, this is amazing. I love this.
This is what I like. This is me as a skier.
Yes, this is me as a skier. But you know what? I tried it. I put myself out there.
I love that. So going back to Dwell with Dignity, I know that you guys do an entire home makeover in 48 hours, very a la like HGTV, and you do one every other week. Have you guys ever thought about making it into a TV show?
Oh, absolutely. We would love to have a TV show if the crew can keep up with us. So the biggest thing that we've seen, and some people have actually come and talked to us, is that they want us to do the same action 5, 10, 20 times.
Sure.
Right? And so it was really interesting because we don't realize how staged those TV shows are, right? Like when you see Joanna and she's like putting the perfect piece down, like she did that shot 30 times from 30 different angles. Yeah. And so my team is blowing and going. So this would be like real reality TV, right? Like this wouldn't be staged. This would be like, hey, do you want to see what it's like when you put 20 people in a small space and try to put something together? But I kind of like, why can't we get to that point? Why can't reality TV actually be real? Like, post up a camera and you get what you get. Like, how cool would that be?
I would love that. You guys should just start a YouTube channel and do it on your own, honestly.
Just do it on our own.
You should. So I'm assuming Dwell with Dignity, that's only in Dallas, right? Like, but do people from other states approach you? Like, do they want your service? There's got to be, I'm sure people that learn about you, they're like, come to California, come to Florida,
We get approached all the time about creating chapters in different spaces, whether it's in Houston or Austin or whether it's in a different state. And now that we have these national partners, we are looking for opportunities to be able to expand. And, it's great because what we're finding is that maybe we go alongside a nonprofit that's expanding. So we worked with a group in Dallas called Dallas Hope Charities, and they are housing for LGBTQ youth who have been kicked out of their homes. A beautiful organization. Absolutely love them. And so they're in Dallas right now. They have a home and then they want to get another home in Dallas and then maybe go to another state. So we're like, that could be a great opportunity for us to go alongside someone who's already expanding. So we already have that partnership, because that's what's been a difficult area for us, is going into a community where no one knows us and trying to get their trust and their dollars and their volunteers, because everyone already has their own cause. And Dwell with Dignity works because it's so grassroots. right? Because we've built it up slowly and people want to impact the community that they live in. And so it would definitely take some love to be able to, some people said, oh, well, you franchise it out. And I'm like, no, I'm a control freak. I'm not franchising anything. But how great would that be to go alongside a nonprofit that is expanding and to provide those services? So that would kind of be how I could see us being able to get into other states.
That would be so cool. There's no shortage for a need of your services, which is, not a great thing because obviously you want everyone to be on their feet and have housing. But obviously, I know that it brings you a lot of pleasure to help these people out and get them back on their feet.
Oh my God, it's the greatest joy going to a reveal and seeing a family have something that's theirs for the first time. Whew, it is just overwhelming and beautiful, and it fills you with so many emotions like hope and gratitude and just like the sense of connection because like you're forever on their journey now.
Yeah.
And that's a really cool feeling.
I was going through the Dwell with Dignity Instagram last night and I was like, I'm going to like just cry at all these videos. They're
I
so
cry
touching.
every time,
I
every
if I
time.
if I were in person, I would just be a hot mess. I would be
Oh,
sobbing. It's beautiful seeing these people's, faces light up and just you can just sense their gratitude as they walk in and see everything and realize that it's theirs.
it's theirs and it's
Yeah.
completely free. There's no strings attached. But yeah, it's great to be part of an organization that literally brings joy every single day. It's very different from other places that I've been, and the staff knows how vital they are to creating livelihoods for people that last forever. And so yeah, it's a very rewarding job.
You're really out here doing the Lord's work, Ashley. Hope you know that.
Thank you, my love.
It's true. It's true. So people that are listening to this, I'm sure they want to figure out how they can be involved in Dwell with Dignity. So what are ways that people can get involved?
Oh my gosh. Well, obviously, Thrift Studio is, I think, one of the best entry points to getting involved because
Yep.
it's a great way to come find one of a kind things, make your house beautiful, and at the same time, you're making their house beautiful. And so it's really that design for all approach that we love. So absolutely invite people to come. It opens in August,
Oh, nice.
thriftstudio.com. So Thrift Studio, like I said, great way to get involved, meet really cool people in the community, but you could also come and volunteer with us. Like you can
Mhm.
literally sand, refinish, and paint a piece of furniture and then meet the family as they get it.
Oh,
So if
wow.
you are one of those very cool, crafty people, which I am not, like come do that with us. We love that. We have volunteer days almost every single day of the week where people are just
Oh, wow.
painting and creating. We make custom art, we make custom furniture. And it's just, again, it's rewarding to be able to use your hands, right? Like
Hmm.
I think as adults too, like we've lost a lot of sense of creativity. We
Sure.
used to play and paint and make all the time. And now if we're not a professional, we don't do it. So this is a great way to be able to do it, have fun, bring a friend, but then also know that everything that you're doing goes back for good.
That's really beautiful that it's such a sense of community and like really everyone is coming together to make a beautiful space for someone that's getting on their feet. I love
Oh,
that.
it's all about community here and collaboration. Like this is not a one person show.
Yeah.
And so I think that's really cool from our donors to our volunteers to our staff, like everyone plays together and has a blast doing it.
I had another guest on my podcast like a month or two ago, and she works in homeless outreach. And I was asking her, I was like, I know this is a huge question, but in your opinion, what do you think the solution for homelessness is? And she said she was like community. I think just learning more about people and helping people out that's the key to everything.
Too, it's those partnerships, right? Like it's not one thing.
Hmm.
Like they need the food and the clothes and the home and the job, right?
Yeah.
And the mental health services. And it can kind of sound daunting, right? Like you're like,
Oh
oh
yeah.
God, that's a lot of things to take care of. But if each organization does one piece of it, it's not such a huge lift.
Absolutely. I'm assuming you work with the government on some level to try to, help with housing and everything like that. So, what are the flaws that I mean, sure, that could have been the whole podcast, right?
So I'll tell you something very interesting about 12 with Dignity. We get
Okay.
no government funding, no
Really?
government, no state funding, nothing. We want our families to be independent, and so are we.
I
And so
love
that's
that.
very different than a lot of groups that work with those who are unhoused because a lot of that is paid by the government. One of the groups we went to recently, I think 60 or 70% of their funding comes straight from the government, and we get
Ugh.
zero. and it's just a difference. But we love to work with our city, and Dallas has an incredible responsive city council who believes in what we do. And so, we've even talked to city council members about creating a roadmap for every single DISD on how to have a student resiliency center, how to have teachers lounges, like how to design those spaces together, working with them obviously on the 911 call center, working with them on first responders. But affordable housing is the greatest need that our community has. What we're seeing right now is that a lot of the families that we serve are getting pushed further and further. And so no longer are we serving Dallas, we're serving Garland, we're serving Little Elm, right? Because our families can't afford to live. And unless we incentivize affordable housing, our families are faced with this incredible burden because they're working in Dallas, but their kids are going to school in a different city. They're living in a different city. There's transportation issues because transportation in Dallas is car only. And so unless we actually address the infrastructure issues, right, and make sure that people can afford to live, like you can't even get a Section 8 voucher anymore to live in Dallas.
Really?
It's incredible. You're not required to take them. And Dallas has a very friendly climate to the landlords and not the tenants.
Sure.
So eviction rates are super high in Dallas as well. And so, we've been meeting with some groups to figure out like how can we work together on addressing that issue. And so, housing, safe, reliable, affordable housing is the first thing that we're trying to take care of.
So, like I said, I moved here a year ago, and talking to people about rent increases, like I think it was one of my clients, she was like, my rent went up $400. And I was like, is that even legal?
Right.
I'm like, $400? Like,
Oh
that's
my gosh.
insane.
So the average person, single person, to afford rent in Dallas would have to make $64,000 a year after taxes. That's insane.
Yeah.
Rent prices are crazy. I was speaking to someone the other day, and they're retired and they're looking at moving, and they were looking to go to Clyde Warren Park area. Rent would be about $4,800 a month.
For a one.
$4,800.
Are we talking penthouse or?
I mean, yeah, like just in a high rise, but like that's
insane.
I'm like, that's multiple mortgages.
Right.
But we can't even get down payments to buy a house.
Right.
It's just, yes, I don't know what's happening to Dallas. It used to be like the land of opportunity and affordability. And then our house prices have skyrocketed. Rent prices, I mean, it can jump. I think a studio apartment alone could cost $1,400. Easy.
Yeah. I think it's all because, people like me have been moving here.
How dare you? How dare you come here from Minnesota?
I know. Everyone's like, we're full. Stop moving. I'm like, I made the cut. But no, I feel like a lot of people that have moved here are like from California, and they're paying exorbitant rent prices. So they're probably like, oh, $4,000 for a 1-bedroom. I did that. No big deal.
It's so insane to me, but I'm very lucky that I live in the suburbs, and I bought a house before the pandemic hit. And I think I'm just going to have to die here because I won't be able to afford to live anywhere else. So sorry. This is all I got.
Hey, suburbs are cool. Don't knock the suburbs.
I'm happy. I'm very happy. I love where I live. I love having my own place. I love being able to get away from Dallas a little bit sometimes. Yeah. So when I'm in it, like there's a certain energy. And then when I come home, like it's kind of like a protective place. So
that makes sense. I'm right in the thick of it. So I don't ever really.
Yeah, you can't escape it. I know my office is literally down the street from your office. Like every time I drive right by you, I'm like, hey.
You wave? Do you do your pageant wave when you drive by?
I do. As I drive by you, I'm like, hey, we're so close to each other. Now we just like need a coffee shop between us so we can hang out.
I would love that. I would love that so much.
In my free time, I'll open one.
Yeah, in all your free time. In all your free time, you'll open one. Actually, it wouldn't surprise me if 6 months from now you're like, hey, Becca, guess what? I'd be like, of course you did. Of course you opened a coffee shop. Oh my gosh. Well, I can't believe it's been almost an hour already. So I really appreciate your time. You are so lovely to talk to. And I'm so happy to help spread the word about your organization because I think it's truly brilliant. And I know that you are helping out so many people. And like I said, you're really out here doing the Lord's work. So everyone in the community appreciates you. But before we sign off, where can people find you if they want to follow you or follow your journey?
Absolutely. So I'm on Instagram, actually Ashley Sharp. I Insta a lot. I'm not one of those cool TikTok kids, so sorry. I heard about something called like Lemonade.
What?
There's some like new cool app that's like Instagram and
Oh,
Twitter together.
obviously I don't know about it. I'm like, what?
I know. I know. So Instagram's the best place to find me, or dwellwithdignity.org. You can
Perfect.
find me there all the time.
Amazing. Do you have any final words that you want to say before we sign off?
I'm just excited because this is such a huge time for us. We have this brand new building, we have Thrift Studio opening. And so this is really like a new part of our organization's journey. I feel like we've kind of leveled up, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited because I want people to come and to be part of this and to kind of find a home away from home and to find a place where they can make their space look beautiful and know that it all goes back to a great cause. So it's very poetic and beautiful.
It is. I'm really excited to continue to watch your journey and the up level. And I will have to come in August and go to
Yes.
some of your parties because I love what you're doing and the energy is electric. I can just like sense the momentum of your movement. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so blessed and honored to be here today with you.
Oh my gosh, I really appreciate your time and I hope you have the best day. And for everyone out there, stay brilliant.